At the height of our careers, it was the tail end of a World Cup match. Not a single goal had been scored in over an hour. I was exhausted in the midfield, my spirit worn down by endless passes to the offense that all ended up unsuccessful. Andres, defending, was equally desperate. We both knew that the next goal to be scored would likely be the last and only goal, the deciding factor of the entire match. It all came down to just one moment. I slipped, but I lost my footing at the worst moment possible. Right after getting the ball from Andres and trying to take it downfield, I lost control of it and let an opposing player take it from me. By the time I could turn around, he was already passing it to an offensive striker who was poised for a perfect shot on our goal. I saw Andres making a last-ditch effort to block the ball before it could reach the striker. He dove and slid across the pitch, making contact. But then, the ball seemed to curve through the air. It should have been deflected, or at least gone out of bounds. But somehow, it went right into our goal. Nobody saw it coming. Our keeper didn't even have a chance. He never expected Andres, our best defender, to score an own goal. The enemy team began celebrating. The entire stadium screamed, sounding like the deepest pits of hell. We were never able to recover. No matter how hard we fought for the remaining minutes, it didn't matter. We lost. Our campaign for the World Cup failed in just one moment. After the match, not even our teammates, as impeccable as their sportsmanship was, could bring themselves to console us. They knew as well as we did. This was more than just humiliation. Our lives were at stake. In our country, there were bigger forces at play than the police, the government, or even the military. The most powerful entity in our country was the cartel. They had bet untold millions on us winning that match. It was the worst kept secret of our team. Because of me and Andres, they had lost all that money. We knew we'd be paid a visit, but we could only wait and see what our punishment would be. Andres and I tried to go home together, thinking it would be safer. All it really did was make it easier for the cartel to grab us both at the same time. In the middle of the night, our car was blockaded and forced to stop. The driver was held at gunpoint and dragged out. Then, someone else got behind the wheel and began taking us somewhere entirely different. Eventually, the car came to a stop. Then, without warning, we were both ripped out, guns pointed at our heads. They screamed at us, kicked us, and beat us, dragging us across the ground and tying us up by our necks. We saw a ring of cartel soldiers and bodyguards surrounding the three of us, me, Andres, and the masked executioner standing between us with a razor-sharp knife. We were in some kind of warehouse that smelled of death. The ground beneath us was stained with blood. This was the place they took people to kill them.
Now, before I slit both of your throats, my boss wants to know. Did you do it on purpose? Did you rig the game? Or are the two of you both just incompetent failures?
We didn't rig the game. We would never betray you, we swear.
We swear? Tell me, does he speak for both of you?
Yes, sir. It was an honest mistake. Please don't kill us. We'll never screw up like that again. We'll never even play again. Just please let us go.
I actually believe you.
Does that mean you'll let us go?
No. It means I only get to kill one of you.
Wait, no, please, it's my fault, stop!
Take care of my family, brother.
Andres!
I tried to look away, but the bodyguards came behind me and forced me to watch. He brought the blade up to the very edge of Andres' scalp. Then, that sadistic monster sliced down to the bone. He grabbed the cutty at me, forcing 2 thumbs underneath the skin. Then, he began to pull Andres' face off of his skull. Andres made sounds no human could imagine as his face was ripped away from him. He had gone unconscious, but was still alive. They left me there, forced to look at Andres as his lifeblood flowed from the absence of his face, occasionally regaining consciousness every few minutes, just to choke on his own blood again and beg for mercy with no lips until he finally stopped moving. I wasn't found until dawn, when passers-by were finally sure it was safe enough to untie me without the cartel coming back. When the news hit, the country was mortified, but not at all surprised. The brutal killing of Andres was his punishment for the own goal he scored, and my punishment was to watch it unfold. Everyone knew the cartel was responsible, but to this day, no justice has ever been served, and I have never been able to stop thinking about it.
He scored during Colombia's unsuccessful 1994 World Cup campaign. A bodyguard for a crime cartel that had allegedly bet heavily on the team confessed to the crime. The man who pulled the trigger was Humberto Munoz Castro. He was convicted of the 1994 murder and served only 11 years of a 43-year prison sentence.
One might think it's a blessing to have a son playing football for his country, but it comes with serious consequences for the rest of the family. The World Cup was in full swing. Nigeria was set to play an important game against one of the most formidable countries in the tournament, Argentina. My son, captain of the Nigerian team, had the responsibility of leading us to victory. The game was being held in Russia, of all places. As much as I wanted to be there, I simply could not fly halfway across the world. I was, of course, planning to watch it with everyone at home. I just had to get out of work first, which is easier said than done on a normal day. But because of the time difference, I had to leave early. With all that rushing around, I barely noticed the unusual car sitting in the parking lot. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. A large SUV with blacked out windows and no decals to identify it. However, I didn't have time to care. I got in my car and raced home. The game started in just a few hours and I had to entertain our numerous guests. I glanced into my rearview mirror, absent-mindedly checking out the plume of dust I was kicking up as I sped down the dirt road, when all of a sudden, that giant tank of a car appeared. They plowed right into the back of my car, sending me into a violent fishtail. I could only watch as I went right for a head-on collision with a tree. That was the last thing I saw before I blacked out. I was dazed and nauseous. Where was my pain medicine? What kind of hospital was this? But the more I began to see, it became clear I was not in one at all. I was laid up in a bed, but a filthy one, and I was handcuffed to it. An armed guard stood at the only entrance. He whistled as he noticed me waking up, prompting more men with guns to flood the room. I had been kidnapped. They didn't want me. They didn't even want my money. They wanted my son's money. I was a ransom. If they didn't get what they wanted, they were more than happy to shoot me, my son, or anyone else in the family. Then, they handed me my cell phone and told me to make a call. Hello, Dad? This is, not a great time. The match is about to start and I need to focus. God. Never mind that crap, boy. I've been kidnapped. What? No. Dad, this isn't funny. It's not a joke. Listen to me. Don't tell anyone about this, or they'll kill me. Understand? Yes, I understand. I won't tell anyone. What do they want? They want 50 million naira, delivered within 3 days, or I'm dead. All right, I can swing that. I'll give them their money. Now you listen, Dad. I'm also going to send the military in there to wipe them all out. No, son, don't! They're listening! Don't! I'm dead. My son's big mouth was about to get me killed. Why didn't he think he'd be on speaker for each and every one of my kidnappers to hear? This made them furious. They told me the deadline was now just 24 hours, and then they wheeled a TV into my cell. It was playing my son's game. He was playing. He just found out his father was being held for ransom, and he didn't even stop what he was doing to save my life. In that moment, I knew what was ultimately more important to him. I couldn't stand to watch him play, especially when he lost at the very end. All that for nothing. After the game was over, one of the men came and injected me with something. He said if I never woke up, then my son never came to save me. I didn't expect to see anything ever again. However, after some time in the infinite darkness, I heard these terrible loud noises, explosions, gunshots, screaming and shouting. People were dying and being tortured all around me. I thought I was in hell for a while, but then I saw the light. Not God, but a flashlight attached to the barrel of a machine gun. My son had sent in the goddamn military after all. I was rescued and finally taken to a hospital where I could be with my family and began a proper recovery from my injuries. My relationship with my son since has been complicated. He saved me, yes, but he also procrastinated in spectacular fashion, and if it weren't for his profession, I never would have been kidnapped in the first place. Sometimes I wish he would have just kept with the family business and spared me the suffering.
Nigeria captain John Obi Mikel played in a crucial World Cup match against Argentina, only 4 hours after being told his father had been kidnapped for ransom back home and would be shot if anyone talked to the police. Mikel decided to hide the news from his teammates and coach so as to not destabilize the team and went ahead and played the game in Russia. Mikel's father, Michael Obi, was rescued from armed kidnappers by Nigerian police following a shootout in a remote forest in southeastern Nigeria nearly a week after his abduction. That allowed the player to talk about the incident publicly. Police said Michael Obi, who was rescued along with his father, had recovered from the trauma of the kidnap.
Growing up in a small village, my siblings and I didn't have a clear path to success, but that didn't stop my brother from dreams of becoming a renowned football player. We all supported him, hoping he would someday make it to the World Cup, despite how unlikely it was. As I grew up, I eventually moved away for school, but I came back home to watch my brother's games whenever I got the chance. He played pickup games almost every day, where multiple towns and villages all came together to make a real event out of it. The word I heard from family was that some FIFA scouts would be in the crowd. Before the game started, however, I noticed something that worried me. My family and friends all noticed it too. The referee for the match was someone from our village, another skilled football player, but nowhere near the same level as my brother. He hated my brother for that, always jealous of his ability. We were all concerned he might try to sabotage my brother's performance that night. There was little we could do about it either way, but we kept a close eye on him all the same. Once the match began, we watched from the crowd, holding our breath and cheering for my brother. He was playing like a madman, somehow completely in the zone, but at the same time, out of control. I'd never seen anything like it with my own eyes. The way he was moving, he could have taken the World Cup himself as a one-man team. Then, out of nowhere, the ref blew the whistle. The match came to a halt. Everyone looked to see what the stop was for. Then, he pointed to my brother and sent him off the field. Everyone was in shock. All the players were on their feet. The ball was in bounds and everything had been played fair and square. And my brother seemed to feel this truth in his bones as he refused to leave the pitch and instead stormed up to the bastard ref. Nobody could hear the words they exchanged, but whatever was said, it made my brother finally lose his temper. He pushed the ref back, shocking everyone again, ready to pummel him into the dirt. But as soon as he got within arm's reach, the ref took out a knife. Everyone gasped at once, going entirely breathless as we watched the next few seconds unfold from afar. The ref stabbed my brother, not just once, but an uncountable number of times. By the time the other players pulled him away, my brother's midsection was reduced to shreds. Medics rushed to his aid, but quickly realized there was nothing they could do. They covered him up, moved him onto a stretcher, then hurried off with him. My family saw this all unfold in a state of disbelief. The ref, still soaked in my brother's blood, blew the whistle and started waving his hands at the players. He was actually ordering them to resume the match, right after killing one of them right in front of everyone. All at once, we descended onto the field. There was no thinking, just a bunch of animals. Dozens in the crowd followed us. Our rampage was unopposed. I reached the ref first. I broke that bastard's jaw in a single blow. The ref screamed and collapsed, looking back up at us.
No more. I'm sorry.
You deserve a lot more than that, you piece of shit! Break his legs!
He killed my boy! Tear him apart!
No, please don't hurt me.
Then, a stone flew in from the sky and struck the ref. Nobody saw where it had come from, or who had thrown it. But within a few seconds, dozens more started flying in. That's when all hell broke loose. My cousin ran forward through the storm of stones, grabbing him by the ankles. He was quickly assisted by a complete stranger who helped him tie the ref's feet together. Then they began dragging him off the pitch. He was taken to a gravel lot. More stones there. Without yielding for even a second, the crowd hurled stones at every inch of his body, as hard as each of them could. I was part of it. I helped start it, and I didn't want it to stop. But soon enough, the ref was dead, but there was still rage in us. Weapons and tools appeared. A machete. The ref's head was placed upon a boulder, and we all watched as an old farmer hacked at the neck, chopping with that dull, rusty chip machete until the head was severed clean from the body. The head was taken back to the pitch, and there at the center, placed on a spike. No sooner had his lifeless head been put on display than was the rest of his body pulled and chopped apart, limb from limb. By the end, each member of the family had a piece of the body in their bloodied hands. None of us were innocent in this. It didn't bring back my brother, but it did turn us all into monsters. It took over an hour for the bloodlust to subside enough for the police to intervene. A few people in the crowd were arrested, but we suspect they've already been let off. Nobody in the family faced any consequences for what happened. Perhaps the absence of my brother and the unending guilt and shame over what we did was considered punishment.
On June 30th of 2013, De Silva was refereeing an amateur football match in Field 13, Maranhão. He sent off player Yosemir dos Santos Abreu, 31, who refused to leave the field and began a fight with the referee. Abreu threw a punch which prompted De Silva to draw a knife from his pocket and repeatedly stab Abreu. Abreu died on the way to the hospital. When fans watching the game, including Abreu's friends and family, found out about his death, they invaded the pitch and stoned De Silva before decapitating him and brutally putting his head on a stake in the pitch. Police Chief Walter Costa was quoted as saying, "One crime will never justify another."